What's up, guys? I'm Travis.
Justin,
and we are going to do a prediction show here for Anaheim Supercross 1 2017. Basically what we're going to do here is we're going to run through who we think our top 10 is going to be for Anaheim Supercross, talk about it a little bit. Then at the end we're going to do a bold prediction for the season, a dark horse for the season, and we're going to do who we think is going to take the title for the year. We're only going to focus on the 450 class because the 250s are always up in the air as to who's going to do what.
and we're not going to try to look weird in this, inconspicuous room.
All right, so we're going to start here with our top 10 predictions for Anaheim 1. Now, we all know Anaheim 1 is a joke as far as predicting stuff because you never know who's going to do what at Anaheim 1, who is going to crash out in practice and not be able to race the rest of the year.
Like Will Hahn.
Stuff. Will Hahn. Shout out to Wilbur. We love you, buddy.
We love
Glad
you,
you're
man.
back at Geico. So anyway, I'm going to start with number 10. My number 10 is going to be Bogle. He's got the RCH ride. I think he's looking okay on the Suzuki for the offseason. He puts in good starts, so I think he's going to probably be towards the front at the beginning of the race. But I don't think he's got it for however they do it now, 20 laps or the 18 plus 2, whatever they're going to do. I don't think he's got it for the whole race, but I think he's definitely going to land in the top 10. So I'm going to predict him in 10th.
I'm going to say a name that people probably aren't thinking is going to do much this year. He doesn't have a ride. Dean Wilson. I think that being on the Yamaha, it's going to motivate him. He's always had factory rides. People think, he hasn't really finished the whole season since he's been on the 450, whether it be blowing his ACL every year. I think it's going to motivate him. The bike suits his style. He likes to ride at the back of the bike. The Yamaha's a wider chassis. I don't think he's going to be able to do it for 20 laps. Not having the same amount of testing time, even though he does get, access to all the tracks. Not having a good nucleus around him, no matter what his video says. It's different when you don't have chassis guys and engine guys. I just think that it's going to motivate him to get a bigger ride, whether that be on a Yamaha. I don't think so. I can see him getting 10th the first round. I don't know if he's going to do the whole season because I don't know if he's going to want to spend that kind of money. But I think Dino's going to be in the top 10. I think he's going to surprise some people, and I really hope he gets a ride because honestly, the fact that he doesn't have a ride is a joke.
I'm not going to say he can't do it, but here's why I think you're wrong.
Okay.
We don't know if he's going to show up at A1. He's riding a Yamaha.
Yep.
But who knows? He could not show up. He could be with the Stewarts hanging out in Florida riding at the Stewart compound for all we know.
I understand what you're saying, but I think that if he's going to do any of the rounds, it's going to be the West Coast rounds. He lives in California, lives not that far from Escondido, if I remember correctly. I think if anything, he's going to do the West Coast rounds. I know that Keith McCarty, Yamaha gave him a bike. I don't know if that's all they're doing. I just think that he doesn't know anything else. The kid's only rode dirt bike. That's all he's done his whole life is ride dirt bikes. I just can't see him going, this is no shot at the person I'm going to say, but I can't see him doing like Malcolm and just not showing up to the rounds, if that's what Mookie ends up doing. He wants to stay racing, and he doesn't care how much money he makes. I mean, he's made a good living. I just can't not see him being at A1. Because if he doesn't show up at A1, you're right, A1 is a joke on predicting. It's so all over the board. The track is never going to be duplicated. You get all this testing time, the hard pack track, so on and so forth. If he doesn't show up at A1, he's not gonna prove anything to anybody. It just proves, he just talks a lot, and then that's it. But I can see where you'd be hesitant about that because I don't think he's going to finish the whole season. That's a lot of money for one dude in the back of a pickup truck. Because he doesn't have a box van, he doesn't have this and that, he's got a truck.
Weston Pike did it. Weston Pike did it before he got big.
Weston did do it, but
Weston and his dad drove in a Ford Explorer truck.
Shout out to
back and forth across the country.
Shout out to Big Lou Pike, but Weston had a little bit more incentive because he hadn't made a name for himself at that point. Dino has already made enough money where he could just say, you know what, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't see it. But I can see the hesitation. I really can.
All right, let's move on to the next one, unless you've got a rebuttal for Bogle in 10th.
Well, I know that you were supposed to go first, but my piggyback is actually Bogle in 9th.
Okay.
So
I'm not even going to argue that because I could totally see that. Like I said, I think he's going to land in the top 10. He is a good rider. He gets great starts. He's looking pretty good on the Suzuki. And I think he lands in the top 10, especially in that race for as crazy as the race is.
I do. I think that because even though I think the Geico bike, no disrespect to Kerry Hart and those guys and Kyle Bentley, I think the Geico bike was better than the RCH bike, especially with everything going on with Kerry putting a lot of his own money out there. But I do believe that a lot of last year, not knowing what was going to happen, kind of weighed on his mind. Because we didn't know. We didn't know if Geico was going to do a 450 ride for 2017. I think that, whether guys tell you or not, that weighs on your mind throughout the season. I think that him now knowing that he has a ride, I think that's going to a little bit more incentive to, hey, you know what? I got a little bit more to prove. Because let's be honest, Justin is one of the most naturally talented dudes out there. He's got dope style. Everybody loves to watch him ride.
Leg swag.
Leg swag, shout out. Shout out to the Oklahoma crew. But I think that there was times last year where if he was running in 10th and he wasn't moving forward, he settled in. He just let everybody go. Because there was a couple times he got top 5 starts, and what did he do? He went backwards. Mm-hmm. It's a mind game. Motocross, it's 85% mental, in my opinion. I just don't think that this year it's going to be a lot of pressure on him. I think that there's pressure to perform because he is still on the RCH. Carmichael's still involved, so on and so forth. But I think that he's not going to have as much thought going through his mind, oh crap, am I going to have a ride for next year? But I think that a lot of people are going to be surprised if either one of these two guys is in the top 10 when you don't have Baggett in there, you got Millsaps, you got JG, you got Brayton. I think a lot of people will be surprised at either one of these picks if they're in the top 10 and they, put out other guys.
Okay. So. Well, moving on to my number 9 pick. I'm going to go with Barsha.
Okay.
He looks good on the Suzuki. This is his year. He has to perform. Mm-hmm. Now, he's short on testing time. The deal just got announced not too long ago. He hasn't been on the Suzuki, I don't think, for that long. They don't have the bike, I think, figured out yet to the point where they're going to be able to go out and throw down with the Rocks and a Dungey, something like that. Mm-hmm. But I still think he lands in the top 10. He's coming in. He wasn't hurt. He's been doing off-season races. Do I think he does great at A1? No. But I definitely think he lands in the top 10. He likes the Suzuki better. He's got the ultimate grass is greener on the other side. Mm-hmm. He is on the same team, same people, new bike.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how it goes all season, but I think in the craziness of A1, he's going to land in about 9th spot.
It hurts me to say this because I think that it's crazy to think in a world that a guy like Justin Barsha on let's be honest, it's a factory Suzuki. Mm-hmm. It's not, it's the factory Suzuki. It's more factory from Yosh's side than the RCH ride is. I think it's crazy to think that a guy like Barsha, unlimited talent, he's never won a 450 champ, but he's won races. He's proved he still has the speed of what he did at the Nationals last year. I mean, look what he did with Tomac those last 2 motos at Crawfordsville. It's a different thing, but he still proved he has the speed. As hard as it is for me to say this, I don't think Justin has the heart anymore. I think that he got a big contract after the Honda. He had a big contract at Muscle Milk Honda, when it was still Muscle Milk. He got the JGR ride, got a big contract there, whether the whole, not to use a reference, but the whole beef between him and Kenny about who can spend more money on exotic cars. Got a lot of money. I think he realizes that he can't pace guys like Roxon and Tomac and Dungey because I don't think he's putting the time into the test track. I don't think he's putting the time in with the engine and the chassis guys. And I don't think he's training as hard as everybody thinks he is. I think the Suzuki's going to smooth him out. I think it's better than that Yamaha. It's going to calm him down a little bit. But, and I hate to say it because I'm agreeing with somebody I really don't have a lot of respect for, is David Villeman. Justin's never going to be able to ride a 450 like other guys and be successful because he relies too much on his upper body strength to manhandle the bike than letting the bike do the work. And I just don't think, he's not even that old. He's only like 24 if I remember correctly, maybe only 23. I don't think he's got it anymore. I really don't. Whether he's finished top 10 at the end of the year in the points, it's a different story. I don't have faith in that kid anymore. I really don't. I watched him last year in Supercross flounder around in 8th to 12th when the year before he was top 3 and top 5 every race. I just don't think he's got it anymore. I don't think he wants to win like he used to because he's still making fat money. I don't know how much money he's making, but it gets to you. And, when you got Audis and Lambos and you can afford all that crap and nice house, I just don't think that he wants to win as bad as a guy like Eli Tomac. Because I'm telling you what, he ain't doing, 40-mile bike rides like Tomac is in the mountains. He's not doing it. I think Justin is one of the most talented dudes out there, but I don't think he has the heart anymore to be a top guy. And I don't think he gets a ride after JGR is over with.
Here, make Barsha hate us on the first one.
Probably. My bad, Justin. My bad. But, dude, you have the speed to run top 5, and you're not.
Put you up there.
Yeah, don't listen to him. He's just... But, my 8th place guy, it's a guy I've liked for a long time. I think in years past, people would be inclined to put him in the top 5. He's transitioning to a new bike. It's the first time he's been on a new bike since he's went pro, and that's Kennard. I think that Trey... That wasn't planned.
That was not either.
That was not planned.
We wrote this down prior.
That was not planned.
This was a shocker.
That was not planned. I think that Trey, he's got new life. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that he didn't like the Honda. He loved the Honda. Obviously, he loved all those guys. He took Brent Presnell with him to KTM. I think that Trey's found new life. He's got a new reason to be motivated. But I don't know if... I think he's lost a step or two when it comes to outright speed in the last couple years. I know he hasn't been really injured in a couple years, thank God. But I don't think he takes the risks that he used to. I mean, he's been hurt a lot.
He had the Detroit crash where Weimer landed on him, so he's been hurt.
But... I don't... It's not that I don't think he has a speed, and he has more heart and desire than anybody out there. That's been proven. I mean, the dude broke his femur in the same freaking spot at Washougal 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that he has the outright speed anymore to run with the top 5 guys consistently. I think he has a speed to do it, but not consistently, and I know this is crazy to say, but I don't ever foresee Trey winning a race ever again. I just don't see it happening. I know that's really shocking, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think the talent level is too high. Not to say that his talent's not on the same level, and especially he grinds out at the tracks in Oklahoma. But the top 3 guys have set the bar so high. I mean, Trey, when he gets bad starts, he moves up a few spots. I don't think he can run with the top guys anymore.
I think he's going to be solidly an 8th to probably 4th place guy all season.
Yep.
He's got a new bike. He's on the new team. He doesn't have the pressure of being the guy anymore. He had that pressure all the time with Honda. Now he doesn't. Dunge is the guy on KTM.
Mm-hmm.
So he can just kind of sit back, do his work, make his bike set up the way he wants it. KTM's good with working with people. I think he gets that bike dialed in, and I think he gets... If he doesn't get a podium this year, I'd be kind of surprised.
I think he gets a podium. But...
I don't think he gets a win. I'm with you on that. I don't think he wins.
Do you ever see him winning again? Supercross and outdoors?
Maybe outdoors.
Outdoors.
I don't see him winning a Supercross again.
Okay. See, that's the thing. That's my problem. I don't think he can run with guys like Roczen, Tomac, and Dungey anymore. I just don't see it. I mean, it's been, 2 years since he's even sniffed that speed?
Yeah.
He's done good in heat races. But when's the last time that Trey's just gone out there and just set the world on fire when it comes to a main in Supercross?
No, I'm not going to argue with that. Like I said, I think he podiums. I think he gets the bike set up. KTM works with him. He gets that chassis real dialed in how he likes it, and I think he podiums.
And the fact that it's a steel chassis is going to fit Trey's style a whole hell of a lot better.
But I think that's it. I think that's as far as he goes. And like I said, he's 8th to 4th is what I'm going to put him.
Which, let's be honest, that to that is 1 second a lap.
Mm-hmm.
That to that is 1 second a lap. He gets a start over this guy. He more than likely stays there the whole entire time. That's how good the 450 class is this year. Okay. So,
7th place. Here we go.
7th place. I think with how good Straight Rhythm went for him, how good the warm-up races have gone for him, I think that it's a guy that most people would think that this is too high and he should be around in this range. Marvin Musquin. I think that he, unfortunately for unforeseen things, Stewart incident, he should have won at least one race last year. I think that Marvin is on a high. I think that he's had more time to work with Alden. He's packed on. It doesn't show, but he's packed on a little bit of muscle. He's not this like lengthy-looking Martian dude anymore. He is able to run the pace for the whole main or an outdoors the whole 35 minutes. I think that he's going to be, I say 7th for Anaheim. I'm thinking more towards a consistent top 5 guy, and I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be on the box. I mean, there's not really much you can say about Marvin. He's smooth, he's methodical, but he's not flashy. But he just gets it done. I mean, the dude you rarely ever see that guy make mistakes. Mm-hmm. I think the 7th, like I said, a lot of people would think maybe is a little bit too high. I think with everything going on, I think it's going to be one of those things where he's just not going to get a good start. It's not that he could go out and run fastest in practice. I don't think it's not going to be the speed. I just think that with it being Anaheim 1, weird things happen. I think 7th is a good spot for him, but it wouldn't surprise me if he got 4th.
I think you're way low, but we'll cross that barrier when I get to where I think he's going to land. Now, my 7th place, and some people might disagree with that, I'm going to go with Cooper Webb.
But yet you're wearing a Cooper Webb shirt. That's disgraceful.
I love Cooper Webb. But
we both do, by the way.
Cooper Webb is the fucking man. Hands down.
He is.
He is going to rub some sandpaper in this 450 class this year. It's going to be great. I cannot wait to see what he does his rookie season. But let's be real. This is Anaheim 1. It's nuts. I'm putting him in 7th because I think where he's good, he's still a rookie on a 450, and even though he's rode the 450, we've seen him ride the 450, he's good on the 450, I still don't think he's going to crack the top 5 first race because he's not going to be that guy that's going to be there right away. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be Jason Anderson win and then not be up there for the next 4 races or whatever it was that Jason did last year. He's going to consistently build till he gets to the top. And yes, I do think we'll see Webb. I'm gonna stamp it. Webb's gonna win a race this year. He's gonna win a race. It might only be one, win a race, but he's gonna win a race.
But, and I don't know if you were done with what you're saying, but I'm gonna piggyback off what you just said with the Bo Wilson thing, and he's my number. And it's weird still putting number 2. It's weird seeing number 2 out there and it not being MC. I'm sorry. It's just
really weird. And Villaci as number 17. That I can't get over.
Yeah, I don't think Joey liked that either. Let's be honest. Joey and Coop don't like each other. I think that is a good pick. I think that, once again, you could flip-flop these guys and nobody would really have a big issue. I think that Coop is going to have the freshman woes. I think that he's going to make mistakes. I think his style suits the 450. Granted, MX of Nations, Aussie Open, or Aussie SX Open, however one they call it, didn't go as good as he thought. But I think the fact that he's calculated, he's relaxed, he likes to sprint for the first 2 or 3 laps, settle in, and then drop the hammer at the 12-lap mark. I think that's going to fit his style a little bit better. But I think the one thing that's going to hinder Coop is he's not going to be able to just roll on the throttle and rely on the bike to do the work and let his talent plant the bike like he did on the 250F. Because, once again, he's calculated, but let's be honest, there was a lot of times when that 250F got loose, like in the whoop section, like that year. I can't remember which race it was. I don't know if it was A2, don't quote me on that, where him and Craig were doing the back and forth thing. And that deep whoop section on the far side where your 4th gear wide open, he got loose a couple times. And he manhandled the bike. He's not going to be able to do that on the 450. I think it's going to put him on his head. I think the other thing that's going to cause problems for Coop, once again, love the kid to death, the whole will to win saying. I think Coop's mantra should be will to not lose, because the kid hates to lose. He reminds me of Carmichael in that sense. I'm serious. He reminds me of Carmichael. He's the first person I've seen in a long time.
Season like Carmichael ended up on his ass. But
I think a lot of people think that it could be closer to a Dunge in 2010 where he won Supercross and Outdoors. That was an outlier. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. He's not going to be able to be as aggressive with guys like he did in the 250 class. I think there was times where he'd push somebody wide, or if he'd run in and deep on somebody and bump them, not tee him up, contrary to popular belief. Weston Pike. Coop doesn't take people out like everybody thinks he does. He doesn't take people out. Everybody thinks he's this dirty rider. No, he's just aggressive. When he did in the 250 class, he got around him, he got in their head, and then he gapped him. He's not going to be able to do that to a Muscan, a Kennard, a Bogle, a Wilson, or the next 5 guys. I think that's going to hurt him. I do think he wins. It wouldn't be surprised if he wins Anaheim 1, or if it takes till Daytona to win.
Crazy things have happened to Anaheim.
Crazy things have happened. Davey Millsap's won. No disrespect to Davey, but Davey won a couple years ago. Nobody saw that coming. I just think with Coop, he's going to have blazing weekends where you're going to think, dude, this guy is the fastest guy in the 450 class. There's going to be weekends where he gets 12th. It's going to happen. But
season.
Rookie season, once again. But we agree he will get one win. I think it's only one. That's not a bad thing with him. Because I think he'll be hovering around the top 5 most of the season.
Well, my 6th place, talking about someone smooth like Christian Craig, I'm going to go with Sealy. Like the kid, super smooth. Kind of reminds me of a Dungey-esque.
Yep,
because he's very consistent. And I think he gets a start, and I think he runs up front during the race, but I don't think he ends up with the win. There's too many other really lightning fast good guys that are going to come out and be like, I got to prove it. I got to stamp it. I want everybody to know it's my turn. So I think he lands in the top 10, real close to the top 5, but I don't think he quite puts it in the top 5 there.
Before I get my number 5 pick, talking about Cole, and I agree, everything you just said. I love Cole to death. Do you think that there's going to be an issue between him and Roczen? They have 2 completely different attitudes. You know, he was with Trey, somebody was a friend. I'm not saying that Cole...
Are you talking about behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes. I'm not saying Cole and Kenny are Cole and... Yeah,
no,
Cole
are we
and Kenny...
talking like a problem like Martin Brothers?
No,
truck,
because that was a matter of the team putting all their eggs in Coop's basket and basically dismissing Jeremy and Alex.
Everybody's going to hate us.
I know. I'm talking more of a just not being able to communicate because, once again, Cole and Trey were friends. I'm not saying Cole and Kenny can't be friends, but you're talking about Kenny. They love to have fun. They got the West Coast mentality. Obviously, they both live in California during Supercross. But Sealy's more of a be seen, not heard type guy, whereas Kenny has got this newfound swag. He is a little bit boisterous. He's got a bravado. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I'm really thinking there might be an issue with communication between those two.
I think if there is, I don't think we'll see any of it.
I mean, I'm talking about taking each other out, but just rumblings.
No, but I don't think we'll see or hear of it. There might be, but we would have to dig real deep. That would have to be like a real deep Pulp MX show. Jason Thomas, Steve Mathis,
David Pingree drawing boobies.
Yeah, or Blame Pie and something, whatever. But yeah,
Shout out to Pulp
I don't
MX.
think we'll see it. So
okay.
All right, we're getting in the top 5 now.
Why don't you have your helmet on?
Because it's hot. And the heat's building.
And by the way, it's winter here, so that's saying something.
We are in Michigan. There's like 16 feet of snow outside right now. It sucks.
Exactly. And he's not joking on the 16 feet.
And we are sweating.
Exactly. So
because it's getting intense, because we're in the top 5.
Exactly.
Boom.
Exactly. Boom. Flexing. All right. So, top 5. Next guy is probably going to be somebody that it'd be shocking to put him 5th, but it's also, once again, a guy that gets counted out year after year, championship after championship, and he usually ends up winning them or getting second. Ryan Dungey. I don't think... Shocking, right? Mind blown.
Just went out the window.
I don't think, after what we saw, and I know it's not a good marker because it's not a true Supercross technical race, I don't think the missing all the nationals is going to put him underprepared because, let's be honest, Dungey is one of the most calculated people to ever do this. He's never
Alden Baker is going to whip his ass into shape, let's face it.
Exactly.
Dungey will be ready to go by A1.
But other than last year, look back on all of Dungey's A1 races, and they haven't been spectacular. Now, he's won a few, but they haven't been spectacular. I think it's going to be, and I know he doesn't like this nickname anymore, the Diesel. I think this season, he's going to start off slow. He's going to keep building and building. I don't know where he's going to be at the end of the year. There's been a lot of talk of maybe this is his last year. I'm not saying this is going to be a farewell tour where he's just going to mail it in and, whatever's going to happen. But I think the time that he was out, I think the next 4 guys really stepped up their game. And I think that he might not have the outright speed right off the bat. Once again, who knows what's going to happen. He could go on and win the thing in Dungey style. But I think that Monster Cup was a wake-up call for him. I think that he realizes he needs to get a little bit faster and work on some sections. It's not corners, it's not being smooth. And I know that working with Eldon, he's been learning to sprint earlier, which was one of his problems. But he just needs to be willing to ride that edge. Not sprint speed, I'm talking on the verge of either hitting the ground or winning the race type speed. I think that that's where he ends up. I think that 5th is a good spot for him. I mean, you know, he could win it once again, but I think that 5th realistically is where Dungy's going to end up.
It blows my mind to say that because Dungy's been so good for so long. But watching A1 from last year, he hit the deck twice. Mm-hmm. After taking Stewart out.
Which, by the way, this is a different issue. This is a different issue, but Stewart wouldn't have had a bad season if that ever would have happened.
But anywho, it blows my mind to say, but I don't necessarily think it's wrong. Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, there's a lot of fast guys, and he cannot screw around anymore. He has to get out front, and sprint away.
This is going to be his toughest season.
Win.
This is going to be his toughest season.
Well, we say that crap every year.
No, I know.
But there's a lot of dudes and a lot of fast dudes, and that's going to lead into my number 5, which was your number 7, Marv. I think Marv is on a roll right now. I like him. I like his program. He's with Alden. He rides with Dungy and Anderson. His wife is supportive.
Shout out to Matilda. She's beautiful.
Great. And I think he's going to do well this year. I think he's going to float from 5th up all year. But I think for Anaheim 1, he's not going to come out. He's going to come out fast, but I don't think he's going to come out swinging as hard as some other people are. I think he's going to come out and he's going to be smart enough to put together a consistent race where he gets the top 5, maybe a podium, gets his points, and gets the hell out of there without getting hurt, without hitting the deck or anything like that, and then can continue building all season.
Do you see him in the top 5 at the end of the season in the points?
Absolutely.
Really? You see him in the top, like 5th, or just not really sure?
Not really sure, but I do see him in the top 5 in points at the end of the year. I think this is going to be a big year for Marvin. He's been laying it down. I know the off-season races, it's one of those things.
But they do help. They do help what everybody says.
But he's been laying it down, and not just kind of laying it. He's been
killing
putting the hammer down and see you later, guys.
I mean, he made Barsha and Malcolm, once again, maybe that's not the best examples, but he's waxed Barsha and Malcolm in like 3 warm-up races now.
So, yeah, I think definitely, by the end of the year, he lands in the top 5 in points. I think he wins a race or 2 this year without an issue. Like you said, he should have won Atlanta last year. I think he definitely puts on top of the box a couple times. The dude is just smooth, fast, consistent, and he's got 2 of the best training partners possibly in the world, and a great trainer to complement it all, plus he rides great equipment. I mean, the guy has it all there. The only thing I think he has working against him, the only thing, he's getting up there in age.
He's getting up there.
26 now?
He's 26. He'll be 27.
He'll be 27.
He'll be 27. Yeah, he'll be 20. Actually, he's older than Dungy is. I mean, they're both 26, but he's older than Dungy.
Yeah.
He is. Once again, I said this, like I said with Marv, it wouldn't shock me, but I don't think for the first time in a long time that being smooth and consistent is going to win champion. You have to be obviously consistent to win a championship, but I think for the first time in probably since, maybe the late 90s, since the McGrath days, I don't think that smooth and consistent is going to win you championships anymore. The training regiments are too good. Everybody's had a nutritionist and a riding coach and this and that. But with how good the bikes are getting, how much more development with fuel injection we're getting, and the chassis developing more and more, you could take a box stock bike, put an exhaust on it, and if you are Ken Roczen, you could go out and get top 10. Let's face it. I don't think that being smooth and consistent anymore wins races. I think that you are going to have to ride the edge a little bit, and I think you're going to have to put yourself out there. And that's the one thing that Marvin doesn't do. He does win races by smooth. There's been times last year he was one of the fastest guys. But I just don't think that being smooth is going to win it anymore. I know that, Yeah,
but you get somewhere like Santa Clara where the track's small and tight. He yanks a start.
Oh, yeah.
And he's
I believe he's going to win.
Just as fast as everybody else.
I believe he's going to win.
Who's going to pass him? Nobody's going to pass him.
Ken Roczen.
No. They're still going to put it in the dirt. Roczen's fast, but you get on a small, tight track like that. Look at, 2 years ago, 2015?
Yeah.
Chad Reed wins San Diego.
Which, by the way...
Why did Chad Reed win San Diego? He got a whole shot, and he freaking stayed out front. Because he got the whole shot.
I agree.
And you couldn't pass on the track.
But see,
there's going to be tracks this year, as much as the redesigns of the tracks, and the tracks look better.
The tracks aren't even technical anymore.
That if he yanks a start, no one's going to touch him.
See, here's why I agree with everything you just said, down to the point of nobody touching him. Where I disagree because nowadays, somebody like Ken Roczen doesn't get an outside the top 5 start. I believe as good as Marv is, and I believe he's going to win, for a guy like Marvin to win, he's going to have to get a first or second place start, and a guy like Ken Roczen and Eli Tomac are going to have to finish outside the top 7 off the start. I think those dudes are so fast and so aggressive off the bat that I just don't think being smooth is going to cut it. I mean, once again, it's like comparing apples to bananas. I know that's not a saying you normally say, but the Nationals. Marv was not close to those two dudes one time through the Nationals. Once again, completely different thing. But on to the 4th place. Enough of that crap. On to the 4th place guy. Somebody that once I already said that I love the dude. I think that he is going to have his breakout year, even though people would have thought 2 years ago when he got his first win. Seeley. I think that once again, the Honda's gotten better. Honda is going full bore like the McGrath days, or even the early Carmichael days. They've exhausted all efforts. The chassis is better than ever. It's the closest thing to riding a 250F in the 450 class, even though it's not the lightest. The engine package is better. They've got a little more grown off the bottom, which Honda's never been known for. And all their new ignition system is completely different. I think a guy like Seeley, who is smooth, but Seeley's willing to take risks. He's got that BMX style. He manuals everything. He pumps the bike. I think with the way you got to ride, like I've been saying, to win races, I think that Cole is going to get a few wins, and I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to prove that overlooking outside of Dunge, Tomac, and Roczen, it's going to bite people, because I think that he's one of the guys that's going to step up and he's actually going to be able to challenge them. Because, let's be honest, look what he did that at Muddy Creek at Outdoors before he got hurt. He was leading for like 20 minutes. Nobody thought that was going to happen. I think that Cole is pushing himself. He's not just letting his mind take over for him and saying, okay, calm down, relax. This is not your thing. You don't ride the edge. I think that Cole gets 4th.
Bet Anderson takes him out. Not even gonna lie. How many times?
Bullshit needs to stop.
How many times do you think him and Anderson get together this year? On 17 rounds of Supercross, how many times do they get together?
13 times.
And how many times in before Seeley ghost rides his bike into Ando?
I'm going to tell you what. I like both of those dudes. I really like Ando, and I obviously really like Cole, but I'm going to tell you what. And we saw it in the GoPro, and I can't remember if it was Atlanta. I think it was Atlanta. Coming out of the whoops when Ando just straight ran it in on him, loaded up on the clutch and dumped it and took him over. Cole's not going to put up with that crap anymore. I'm telling you what. Cole proved that it pissed him off. Like I said, I like both of them. I like Cole a little bit more. Cole's not going to put up with that crap anymore. But the difference between Cole and Ando is I think Cole's a little bit stronger mentally. I think that he's not going to let it deviate from moving forward, where Ando is becoming the new Barsha of the 450 class. But, once again, I like Ando a lot.
All right. Well, let's continue the Anderson ride here. I got Anderson.
That's a nice A, by the way. It's better than that one.
Shut up. I got Anderson in 4th. I know the dude came out, won last year, looked good, won a few races.
Probably shouldn't have won either.
Probably not, but he did. I think he's got good sprint speed, good fitness. Again, he's working with all them, good trainer, good training partners, good equipment, being on the Husky. That's a KTM, but it's not really
It's a KTM in white plastic.
Yeah, but anyway, I think he comes out, I think he does well, but I don't think he puts on the box this year for A1. I think he puts on the box at least a few times throughout the year, but I think there's too many good guys for him to do it at Anaheim 1. Okay, here we are, guys, at the podium. We'll start with 3rd place. My 3rd place pick going to be the number 3, Eli Tomac. 2nd year on the Kawasaki. Guy was really dialing the bike in at the end of Outdoors. Looking really good. Went to Monster Cup. Looked really good. Paced Kenny in the 2nd Moto. Real hard. I think he's going to do well. However, I think with the craziness of Anaheim 1, I don't think he's going to quite put it on top of the box, but he's definitely going to be in the mix all night.
And I have to disagree a little bit. I think the 3rd place guy is going to be Jason Anderson. I think he's got a lot to prove to people this year and himself. I think that he had a good season last year, 2 wins, 3rd in the points, but I think he was expecting more wins than he got. He's back at Rockstar Husky. Not saying there was a chance to him leaving, but familiarity and consistency is good. And I think that he just doesn't want to be known as a guy that, okay, I'm going to get 1 or 2 wins, flounder around in 5th, and then be known more for taking out Cole Seeley than anything. But I think he's going to have a good year. I think that he has the speed and now the fitness to be consistently on the box and get more than 2 wins. He's one of those guys like Marvin and Cole Seeley is can he make the next step? He's on the cusp of being a top 3 guy, but sometimes he tends to get in his own way. So
can't really argue with that. He's right up there. So I mean, it's pretty much a crapshoot once you get to the box as to who's going to be where. So I could see that happening.
And once again, I could see both of these guys flip flopping. So it's hit or miss. I mean, but okay.
Moving up one step on the podium here. Second place pick, I think it's going to be the big number 1, Ryan Dungey. Dude had a decent Anaheim 1 last year, hit the deck twice, took Stewart out, still managed to work his way up on the box last year. I mean, he's the diesel, he's solid, he's steady, he's going to have good starts. You know he's going to be there the entire race, as well as the entire season. So I see him definitely putting it on the box for A1. I think he's had a good offseason. He had that break with getting hurt in outdoors and not riding a lot. So he's recharged, ready to go. Do I think he puts on the top step? Maybe, but I definitely see him on the box. And like I said, he's my second place pick. I think it's a solid pick. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be on the box.
Even though I had him in 5th, it's really hard to disagree with everything you just said. I mean, he is the diesel. He builds, and then, before you know it, he's got championships wrapped up. I'm not going to go into everything that I said, why I think he's going to get 5th. I could easily see him getting 2nd, but I'm going to have to take your 3rd place guy, and I'm going to have to go with Eli Tomac. I think that they do, even though the bike didn't change a lot, it changed in a few different spots, but it's not much different. But I think the guys at Kawasaki finally started to listen to him and stopped making him ride Villapoto's rear end setup. I think that Eli, I think he's going to make those 1 or 2 mistakes that's going to count him out for a championship. He needs to get his starts down, but I think if there's going to be anybody that's going to challenge Roczen for a championship, I think it's going to be him. He's the closest guy to outright speed. It's just another one of those things like Ando sometimes that he makes those few mistakes that not so much puts him on the ground, but he has a tendency to, when he comes through the pack, he gets sucked into guys' pace and he hits a wall. I mean, how many times last year, not so much in outdoors, but in Supercross, did he get a 10th place start and he'd get to the top 5 and he'd just stall out?
Yep.
And I think everybody would pretty much agree. He is the only guy that we think speed for speed can match Roczen.
Oh, yeah. There isn't anybody else in the field that I think speed for speed is on Roczen's pace. However, I think he's going to lack the consistency to put it all together. I totally agree on that end. His starts were lacking. Now, if he can start putting starts together and he's in the top 3 on every start, yeah, I could see him winning a lot of races and definitely making Kenny work for a championship.
Yep.
Really, really hard. But he's got to show me he can put that together before I'm going to really believe in a championship contention for Eli.
And I think that that's the thing where, and I hate to use this, but it's like the days when Stewart was racing Carmichael. You know that Stewart had more speed than Carmichael, but he wasn't consistent. He was either on the ground or he was winning races. And I'm not going to say compare the two, but I think this is the closest thing we've had to that, where now Kenny has exceeded Eli with the consistency, the bike, training regimen, everything. And Eli's the only guy that can pace him and beat him. It's just that it's going to be one of those one or two things that's going to keep him from doing it. And I don't know. It's crazy to think that, because he was so good in the 250s. He was so good in the 250s. 450 is a different animal. Everybody knows that. But the one thing, and I know it's only one race and it doesn't really count, but Monster Cup, he got 2 out of 3 good starts. That's the first time in a long time, even outdoors, where he got 2 motos in a row where he got good starts and he was in the top 5. Now, I know that that's not a big deal, but you got to kind of latch on anything of hope when it comes to Eli and his starts. But I think if he does get starts, it might not be as clear cut and dry as a lot of people think, because he's proven he can beat Kenny straight up. I mean, he did only 4 or 5 motos in outdoors, but he still beat him. And once again, you could take any one of these guys and flip-flop them, but I think that Eli's going to be the only guy. that's going to pace Roczen consistently. So.
Okay, so number one, top step of the box, and I think me and Justin are both going to agree on this. It's going to be the number 94, Ken Roczen. You look at Monster Cup, you look at the performance he put in outdoors last year. He is, in my opinion, the fastest guy in the world right now. No one's going to touch him. In Supercross, the fastest guy. He's on the new bike. He's got confidence. He's just on a mission to destroy. I mean, look at his performance in Monster Cup. I know you and I have talked about it a lot. He crashed in the second race, and everybody's going to say, oh, well, he crashed. Yeah, but if you pay attention, he came up short and still had the confidence to say, hey, I'm going to triple out of this.
Yep. And if he wouldn't have got wheel spin, he would have got over.
Yep. And then, granted, in my own personal opinion, I don't think he should have tried to triple. I think he should have just doubled. He would have won all three, won the $1 million, would have been perfect. But he tried it. He came up short. It happens, but he's got the confidence to do it. He's got the training program to do it. He's got the consistency. He's in the right spot mentally, in my opinion. I think he does it. I think he dominates the race. I think he dominates pretty much everything this year. There isn't a lot I see him losing to.
I mean, you kind of just took the words out of my mouth. There's nothing really I can say different. Once again, he decimated everybody in outdoors other than a few motos, which you could say that went to Washougal for Tomac. Nothing away from Kenny let him have it because he knew he didn't need to beat him. His training regimen, he's on one finally where he doesn't hit the wall halfway in the season, which was one of Kenny's biggest problems when he came over from Europe. He would do good, he'd go out and kill everybody, and then halfway into the season, he wouldn't have Epstein-Barr virus, but virus or symptoms like it. He just got drained everything. His personal life is good, which in this sport, if your personal life is not going good, whether it's family stuff, travel, whatever, it makes it really hard to want to go to work. That's good. So it makes the training, the travel stuff, the media obligations, which Villapoto proved that's one of the reasons why he quit. Kenny, it doesn't bother him anymore. He's having fun with the life, whether you want to take all the Instagram bullcrap away. And I think that he's got everything going for him. There's nothing that's gonna break him. And like I said earlier, it's not going to be smooth and consistency anymore week in and week out to beat somebody like Roczen. You're going to have outright speed, and you're going to have to be able to sprint and do it for 20 laps. Because if you don't, it's highly unlikely you're going to beat him. This is the closest thing I think we've seen. If you want to use Villapoto as an example, I'll go all the way back to Carmichael. This is the closest thing we've seen where it's speed and consistency and the mental toughness and the training.
Yeah,
so,
they're just...
you can't argue. There's nothing...
No,
what else can you say?
There isn't. I mean, you go... Like I said, right back to outdoors, you go right back to the Monster Energy Cup. Who's going to touch him?
And the thing to piggyback off that comment about outdoors, once again, another thing we talked about, even Southwick, Tomac straight up beat him. I mean, Kenny was trying. He definitely was. He wasn't just settling in. He was pacing him, and Eli inched away from me. That second one was closer. But once again, look what happened at Redbud. He decimated Tomac. He played with him. He played with that kid's emotions. Even if Kenny does get beat this year, which I think will be a few times, don't be surprised if he comes out in the next race and wins by 10 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think he goes 17-0.
No.
I think he definitely wins
majority of the races,
everything.
If not more than half.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, you can't really say anything else. Everybody said it. Everybody does these shows, and they've said basically the same thing. So.
Yep. Boom.
Boom.
Bold statement for the season. Justin, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, sure. I don't really know how bold and amazing and spectacular it is, but considering the guys that are on these bikes, I think that at the end of this season, I don't see one guy on a Suzuki being top 10 in points. What you think about it, Bogle, Tickle, Barsha, Weston Pike, I just don't see it. I don't see one guy being in the top 10 in points. I don't know if that's a big deal, but I think with those four guys, you could say it's kind of a shocking thing to say because I don't know. I think they're going to all have their moments, but I think the new transition for JGR from Yamaha to Suzuki, which I think it's going to help Justin and Weston, especially Weston, considering his RCH days. I think it's going to be a lot harder than people think, even as in-depth and as good as the JGR guys are, because being that they've only had one focus and one setup for so many years with Yamaha. And with the RCH guys, I think Bogle's going to have his moments where he's going to be close to the top 5, fades back. But once again, consistency. He's lacked it since he got off the 250s. And Tickle, I love the guy to death, but I just don't think he has the speed with how close everybody is I don't see one Suzuki guy being in the top 10 in points at the end of the year. Now, you want to take that as a big deal, not a big deal, but I think a lot of people would look at Barcia. I think that'd be hard for them to believe. Even as much as he's kind of regressed, I still think people have a hard time thinking that he's not going to be top 10.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me into like a heart attack or something if it didn't happen, but I think it's going to be highly unlikely to not have any of them in the top 10. I mean, the RCH bike is proven to win.
It is.
I mean, Kenny did it last year. Even like Weimer used it and was in top 10.
And Tickle's Podium.
Yeah, and Tickle's podiumed with it. So that bike is known good. Now, I do think the JGR guys are going to struggle.
Although they will be good.
Yeah, they will be good because they've got this rejuvenated youth about them because of.
But I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be East Coast.
But yeah, I think it's going to take them 5 rounds to get going. Really. Yeah, I can't say that would really shock me. The only thing would be like Bogle, really, because I think that kid is
he's something
getting
special,
better.
but
I don't know. Well, it'll be interesting to see how he does this year.
Like I said, it doesn't shock you, but I think a lot of people would look at a Barcia or a Weston Pike. And Bogle, I think it's up in the air with a lot of people, but even Tickle, who is consistent, I think that they would just look at that and be like, I don't know, I could see 3 of them, but not all 4 of them. And I think people would easily say, well, it's going to be Barcia then. Well, to be honest with you, I just don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I think I would like to see Barcia make it through a whole season without getting hurt.
Or just, not giving up halfway in.
Yes.
No offense to him, but he did a lot last year.
Yeah.
Or this year.
He won last year. Whole shots, the second restart after James went out, leads the first, I don't remember what, 3-4 laps, fades like a cheap prom dress, ends up 15, 16, something like that. So.
And no offense, look how many times he ended up in the semis.
Yep.
Granted, as stacked as it was, a guy like Barcia should not have to go to the semi. No. Even if they're only taking 4, he should be going to the semi. And he was probably in the semis maybe, 6-7 times last year? At least it felt like it.
Yeah.
And I think it was one LCQ he was even in.
Yep.
So, I mean, like I said, not shocking, not crazy, heart attack, but a little to get you thinking about it. Mm-hmm. So, but, all right.
All right, my bold statement, Kyle Cunningham gets 3 top 10s.
Woo!
I saw the guy ride at the Edge of Summer race at Soaring Eagle on a 450. The kid is not good on a 250, but he can ride a 450.
Mm-hmm.
He was pacing and ahead of guys like Phil, Weimer, Well Racing. I mean, the kid can ride a 450. So I think he just signed that deal. If he gets decent equipment underneath him, he will do well. He will surprise you. It may be a deal of, well, he wins, or not wins, he gets a top 10 in like Daytona, which is kind of like a special track. Mm-hmm. Maybe Las Vegas, where it's a little longer. And like another East Coast round. I'm not sure how he does on the West on the hard slick. But he rides decent in the East Coast, the deeper stuff, from what I've seen. Like I said, and this is all coming from, I saw him ride at Soaring Eagle on a 450, having not really paid attention to him riding a 450 before, and the kid impressed me. So I could definitely see him putting it in the top 10 a few times this year.
I'd like to believe that. I really do like Kyle. I met him a long time ago, way back in 2007, down in Nakona in Texas. I've had conversations with him. He's a good kid, or a good guy. But I don't know, man. I would like to say that I'd agree with you. I could see Daytona. He is a lot better on a 450. He doesn't have this ragged edge style where he's manhandling the bike. He's
very smooth on it.
Yeah, he has that straight up and down style like Baggett. Not as outright speed as Baggett, but he reminds me of him, just a little bit taller. I don't know if I could disagree with that, but I don't know about 3 times. And I think, once again, even though it is with Munn Racing and they prove that they can do well, I think that's going to be his only drawback is, do they get the same equipment to put him in the top 10, considering that, like we talked about before the show, it's 18 guys deep this year. And then you add Kyle in, and I think it's going to come down to more of equipment. Is the equipment good enough? Because I think he's good enough, but I don't know if the equipment is good enough. Like I said, don't knock on Munn Racing. They've proven that they can do well and they can, put a team together, but I don't know. That's very bold in my opinion, considering how deep it is. But if I see it, I think it's only going to be one time, not 3. But that's pretty bold considering how stacked it is.
Yep.
I mean, it really is.
Like I said, he impressed me. He really did. Like, watching him ride, he was smooth, he was fluid. The Soaring Eagle race, for anyone who hasn't been there, is a good mix of, it's like a hybrid Supercross. It's very reminiscent of kind of a Monster Energy Cup.
Mm-hmm.
It's bigger than a regular Supercross track. There's some big jumps. There's some outdoor sections to it. There's a lot of flat 180s. And he looked really, really good on it. So,
and the one thing that, even though I wasn't at Soaring Eagle, the one thing that I say I watched all the highlights. I was talking to you, talking to different people. The one thing I did like about Kyle, what he did that race, even though he didn't win the main, was the fact that he did get a crap start and he pushed all the way to the end. And once again, being a longer track, lap times, not as technical per se in some spots. The whoops obviously weren't as big as, an A1 or, an Arlington or whatever. But the fact that he could have the will to keep pushing through on a race that, even though there was a lot of money on the line, didn't really mean anything for him when he was as far back as he was. I think that is a sign of good things to come now that he is in the 450 class. So, I don't know if I agree, but I definitely could see it. And if it does happen, it wouldn't shock me. So,
okay. So we're back.
That's not a horse, that's a pony.
This is a horse. I'm good at drawing.
Okay.
So anywho, dark horse pick for a win. We kind of narrowed this down. We said dark horse at the beginning, but we wanted to just do it for a win. Kind of narrow down what we were doing. So dark horse for a win. My pick is going to be Justin Bogle.
Okay.
The kid gets great starts. We've seen it outdoors. We've seen it indoors. He can yank a whole shot on a 450 pretty much at any time. He's really good at it. So you give him a Chad Reed, Atlanta 2015, where the track's real tight, one line. He gets a whole shot. He is out in front. There's nowhere to pass. He goes wire to wire and pulls off a win. I can see it happening. It's a real outside chance. I'm not.
We're not saying this is going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could. It really could. Because a lot of these tracks, you get a real tight, real technical. The kid has the fitness to go the 18 minutes plus 2 laps, 20 minutes plus a lap, whatever it is they're doing. So like I said, you get him on a tight track, one line that there isn't anywhere to pass, and he hole shots, and you get a few guys between him and some of these top guys, Kenny Dunge, Eli, whatever. He could potentially do it. I could see it.
Okay. I don't want to disagree on the speed, because I think he is one of those guys that just does have this, 2-3 lap heaters where it just blows your mind that somebody like him could do it. His starts are really good. The only problem I think with Bogle is I don't know if he's got the stamina to do it for 20+1. I don't know. I just, even on the 250 days when he won races, which was a few, even when he got a start and he gapped everybody, he started fading as the moto went on. Now, he did have a couple good rides last year in Supercross, but I just don't know if the stamina is there for a guy like him. I'm not saying he doesn't train hard, because I know he does. But that's the thing, is you're going to have to be spot on for 20 minutes to do it. And Bogle really hasn't done that throughout his career. Now, he is one of those guys that, like I said, speed can do it. It's just, I don't know if he's got the stamina. I just don't know. But, once again, this is called Dark Horse Pick.
All right, let's see what you got.
So my pick is probably going to shock, especially you and a lot of people that know me, because they know that I have a true disdain for him because of his attitude. But I think it's going to be Chad Reed. I really do. I think it's going to be Reed. Now, hear me out. I think that as his career, now that it's dwindling down, I think he's had this newfound youth. He's taking the stuff that he didn't necessarily like, which a lot of guys don't, whether it be the training, the media obligations, all that. He's embracing all of it because he knows maybe the next 2 years it's going to be over with. I think that his bike is good again. He's still with Goose. And I think that he has the heart and desire where a lot of guys don't, because he still thinks he can win championships. I don't think he can win a championship. He hasn't been able to win one for a long time. But like I said, I think it's not going to be able to be smooth and consistent to win championships. I think you're going to have 3 things to win races if you're one of those guys outside the top 8. And people are going to say, well, this is obvious. But I think you are going to have to be a good starter, because you're not just going to be able to get a 5th place start and work your way through, because the guys are so close. In a snap of a finger, you can go from 5th to 10th. Chad's a good starter. Okay? He's been in it for a long time. I think you're going to have sprint speed for 4 to 6 laps, because, once again, everybody's so close, especially guys like Kenny and Eli and Dunge, that if you don't get a gap on them and you have to run them down, it's over with before it's even started. And I think this last one would kind of shock people because of his age now, but Chad's kind of gone through this fluctuating thing where his workout hasn't been as hard, then he's come in really fit, and then he's come in a little bit overweight and then worked his way into shape. But once again, talking about the youth, he's willing to do the stuff that he probably didn't do when he was younger, now that his career is dwindling down, because getting a win for him, I think, means so much more than a lot of these younger kids nowadays, because of the fact that his career is over with.
And he's coming in really fit. I've heard him talk on some shows, and he says his fitness is top notch, and it would not surprise me, honestly, to have him be in really good shape, because I think last year he was just rushed to get going, period, because the deal was so late.
Yep.
But I think this year he's had the deal. He knows where he's going to be. Obviously, he didn't ride outdoors. He did a couple of GPs or whatever, just to do a couple things. I think, he's in a good spot mentally, probably physically too. I guess, if you put him on...
No, I'm not saying he's going to...
Again, I'll go back to it. In Atlanta 2015, and he gets a whole shot, and... I mean, it's one line. Yeah, I could see it, I guess.
And anywhere where there's deep, tall, peaked whoops. Because once again, has proven that he has some of the gnarliest whoop speed there is.
Yep.
And he even, once again, not a good predictor, but Oz Open had some deep whoops. And he was without a doubt the gnarliest dude through those whoop sections every time he was on the track.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen, because there's times where Chad probably will get outside the top 10 consistently week in and week out. But I just think if there's any guy outside of the 8 guys that everybody pretty much has in mind that's going to be there that could get wins without just, this wild stuff happening, I think it's Chad. And he's done it before. I mean, once again, you're talking about, what he did a couple years ago. He had his moments last year, and then he kind of faded away where you kind of forgot that he was even... I even said there was times last year on the East Coast that I even forgot he was in the race.
But he ended up still 5th place in points or something. I mean, it's wild how he's still there at his age without even being in the limelight. Like you said last year, there were lots of races you were like, where the hell is Chad Reed at? Like and
then you come around, he's getting lapped, and you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Like he's getting lapped right now.
And then it shocked me to look at the point standings the other day and go, wow, he finished 5th place
we were looking at that, and I said the same thing, like, really? He got 5th?
That was amazing to me, so...
And you don't think about it because of how deep the younger guys are, how deep it is. But I just think that if you get Chad in the right mind... Now, I will kind of add a caveat to that. I think it's going to be one of those things where he's going to have to come in and he's going to have to feel it the first lap of practice. Even in free practice, because we've seen in years where Chad has won races where he's been on it the whole entire day. Mm-hmm. I think if he goes in and he's either struggling with his tire or struggling with his chassis setup, or the one thing that he complains more than anybody is tire setup, especially that grip to the front end. Let's be honest, he's more picky about tires than I think anybody ever to ride a dirt bike. If he's feeling it from the moment first free practice goes over the finish, and he's within the top 3 all the way up to the night show, I don't even know if guys like Kenny and Eli and Dunge, when they're on it, could beat him, because there's days where he's on it and he's like, you know what? That's the old Chad Reed. That's the guy that was beating Stewart and Carmichael back in the day. And now I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think that if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be him. So.
And that's our dark horses. Okay.
And we're back.
So, last thing we got on the list for tonight, championship prediction, and there isn't any argument between the two of us. I don't think there's a lot of argument throughout the entire industry, to be completely honest. Everyone pretty much thinks, barring any catastrophic failure, Ken Roczen is wrapping this championship up. Mm-hmm. He's smooth, he's consistent, he's on the new bike, he's got the confidence, the program. I mean, the list goes on, and you can look at any number of things in the last 12 months to let you believe, hey, this guy's going to do it. There's a lot of talk right now about, is Dunge even going to ride 2018? Is 2017 his farewell tour? Has he signed a new deal yet? No one really knows. So, that stuff's all up in the air. Kenny's locked in through, what, 2019 or
2019 or
2020, one of the two, into Honda. So he's there long term. HRC's dumping more money than any other OEM in the business right now into it. For this year, and we won't get into the future because I know we've got some things coming from Europe here in the next couple of years that could make things more interesting. But for this year, Kenny gets the championship, probably wins more than 50% of the races. There's just no argument. Kenny, barring him wrecking himself, trying to make something he shouldn't, he's it. There's just no question.
I mean, once again, you can't really say much that he didn't already say. You know, the two things I will say is I think that to win championships and even winning races, I think that there's only maybe 4 to 6 guys in the 450 class that have stuff checked off the list at every aspect, every phase of the game that it takes to win races and championships. But I think it's only like 2 or 3 things. Kenny has them all. Once again, the confidence. You know, the bike is there. Honda is willing to spend an obscene amount of money, finally, since the Carmichael days. You know, his outright speed, his sprint speed, he's having fun with life. There's not much else I could say. It's already been said. You know, he's dominated everything in the past year. I think that there's few guys in our sport that have transcended it to a new level. You want to go back to Villapoto with a 4-peat. You want to go back to Stu after Carmichael retired with just sheer outright speed that I don't think a lot of us have ever seen before.
Nope.
Carmichael did it with willing to not lose and just outwork everybody.
Yep.
And then McGrath did it all through the 90s with just making everything look like it was buttery smooth and the dude was on a bicycle ride. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go, I know my statement earlier is that I think Kenny could 5-peat. I'm not going to say that. I'm not even going to be stupid enough to say that he's going to 4-peat. Because it's so hard to do stuff like that nowadays. Not saying it wasn't when Villapoto did it, only was because it was a few years ago. But I think Kenny's that next guy that he's going to bring our sport to the next level with all the new deals going in place. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be the face of motocross and supercross. And I think that he's not just going to be the face because everybody likes him and he's outspoken. His riding is going to do the talking for him. And I kind of see him probably winning 10 races this year.
Yep.
I know that we picked other guys to win races.
Yep.
But I think that 10 races, between 10 and 12 is a good marker for him. Now, I know that's crazy. People think, well, you know, Dungey's going to win more than that. You know, he's going to win at least half the races. Honestly, there's nobody that's proven anything this year that anybody can even come remotely close to Kenny in every aspect.
I mean, basically, you can stamp this for us. This is our guy for this year. He's getting at Supercross and outdoors. There isn't anybody. So this is pretty much it. So that's the end of the show for this week. Again, this is just our predictions. We could be completely wrong, which would not surprise me. Mm-hmm. You know, we're going to do this weekly shows. We want to do it every week for this year to kind of just do predictions, see what people think, how the season goes. So if you like what you saw here, like, subscribe, comment. We're always looking for feedback on how we can make it better or whatever. I know that our studio is not the best here lighting wise, but you know, this is what we got. So hopefully you guys liked what you saw and you will watch more because we enjoy doing this. We talk about this stuff all the time.
Yeah, we don't even get paid to talk about this crap.
No, and we do it anyway. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys on the vlog at Anaheim 1.